Recording in progress. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate your time this evening. We'll try to honor that and end right by 9 o'clock. What we wanted to do is talk about rucking and what is rucking, and also talk about an event that we're planning for next year that's exciting for us. We've got a couple of guys to talk. Steen was going to talk at a high level. What is rucking and what is Knoxville's ruck culture like right now? So if you're new to the idea of rucking, that'd be good for you to hear. Abort is on here to talk about what is something called a grow ruck training event. He's been in it. A couple of you guys have been through one. So he'll tell us about what this is, a grow ruck training event that we're hoping to bring to Knoxville. Skeletor is going to talk about the status of that planned event for next year. And then I'll kind of wrap us up talking a little bit about dreaming about, well, what could the future prospects of rucking look like, and some needs that we have as a region for that. So, and then we'll have time at the end for, open floor for any kind of questions that you guys might have. So with that said, Steen, you want to take it?
Hey, baby. Absolutely. Man, thanks for joining, everyone. Good to see a bunch of dudes here. So, yeah, rucking. So I've been in the rucking game, I think almost since I started F3 about 6 years ago. It's been a game changer for me. And so I want to just touch on a couple things, like Kickflip said, about what rucking is, and kind of some things you've probably seen in Slack about our ruck culture here in F3 Knoxville. And it's very cool. So when I think about rucking, basically you're putting weight in a backpack and you're going for a walk. That's the most simple definition of it. And it doesn't require any specific gear. You got a backpack, you have weight, go for a walk. And it's about as intentional as that. And to go a little bit deeper with that too, what's actually happening when you're rucking is something called active resistance training. And so while you're building muscle, while you're building strength with weight on your back, you're also improving your cardio and endurance at the same time. And so it's a little bit different than obviously our 45-minute or 60-minute workouts that we do in F3. It's almost a great add-on to those, I would say. But rucking is one of those things that when I first saw it, it looked kind of crazy. Why would I choose to put more weight on my back before a workout? But it's really a simple way to maybe get out of your normal routine. If you're a gym guy, or maybe you've just been really disciplined in coming to F3 workouts, it's a great way to kind of diversify some of your physical fitness. There's a great phrase: if you hate running, start rucking. It's a lot easier on your knees. And so it's a great way to kind of diversify some of your first F endeavors and efforts, in addition to F3. And one of the things I always like to tie in when I talk about rucking is it's a really great metaphor for what we do through life. We put weight on our back and we ruck. And that's a great message that'll preach itself. But when I think about rucking, and maybe you have heard about rucking, maybe you haven't, maybe this is all new to you. It's really a really intentional opportunity to go a little bit deeper in your first F, your second F, and your third F. Some of the best conversations I've had have been under a ruck with a bunch of guys with weight on our backs. We're getting stronger, we're increasing our endurance, and we're doing something different than we would typically do. And so I'm going to put some links in the chat, and hopefully you can see these as well. If you've never heard about rucking, or maybe you want to know more about rucking, Go Ruck is one of the big names in the rucking community and in the world. Some great resources on what it is, benefits, rucking for beginners, some tips. Really encourage you to check that out too. And I'm sure some other guys can add their input as well. But when I think about the culture of rucking in Knoxville, like I said, I saw a couple guys pre-rucking an asylum workout about 6 years ago, and thought it was pretty insane and wanted to be a part of it, and got into the rucking game then. But when I think about a rucking culture now, rucking requires action, energy, and purpose. And I would say that those are really good descriptors of what our rucking culture looks like in F3 Knoxville right now. It's very action oriented. You're getting out of your comfort zone, you're putting weight on your back, and you're going on a walk. As simple as that. It's engaging, both conversationally in your first F, your second F, your third F as well. And it's purposeful. as well. Like I said, it's a great metaphor to think about life as well. But you probably have seen rucking in the F3 Knoxville community more along the lines of pre-rucks at our AOs. You've maybe seen your AOQ said, hey, there's going to be a pre-ruck at 5 or a pre-ruck at 6 a.m. for the Saturday workouts. You've probably seen rucking in the form of OTBs, where guys will go on longer rucks. And so our rucking community here in Knoxville is really strong, really active, really, really alive. And that's going to feed into why we're so pumped for next year and events that we're bringing to Knoxville. A lot of us have done in different seasons of our lives throughout our relationship with F3, with Go Ruck as well. But the best way I could probably put it is that it's just a way to engage together, maybe differently than a 45-minute workout that we're used to, or a 60-minute workout we're used to here in F3 Knoxville. Maybe to get you out of your comfort zone, to push you a little bit more than you thought you could go. And it really produces growth and endurance. So we have a lot of great ruckers here. There's a whole channel dedicated to it, like Skeletor mentioned a couple minutes ago. And the whole phrase, you don't have to be a professional, absolutely applies to rucking as well. There's no science that if I can figure it out, then anyone can do it. There's not really any, you have to be a pro to do it. It's just, hey, let's push ourselves, put some weight on our back, go on a walk. Maybe we'll have some really good conversations and increase our physical fitness, fellowship, and faith at the same time. So that's what I got for some of our culture and what rucking is. But I encourage you to check out those links too. It probably puts it a lot better than I did.
Steam, awesome. Thank you, dude. Abort, you ready to talk to us about a GTE?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? All right, cool. All right, guys. So the GTE, or the Grow Rep Training Event. So this is essentially a 4 major component event. So it's kind of broken down over the course of an entire weekend. The first component of the GTE is the Friday night rally. So this is a second F event. Inevitably, we're going to have guys that are going to show up from out of town. This is going to be a lot of guys across our region, but because of the impact these events have, we'll certainly have people come into town from Chattanooga, Tri-Cities, Nashville, I would say at the minimum. So it gives us a chance to fellowship with each other, fellowship with some guys maybe we've never met before. Maybe it's been some time since we've seen them or what have you. But yeah, the Friday night rally is the first component of that. So kind of just meeting up at a local establishment. And again, just primarily a second F event there. The second component of the GTE is going to be on Saturday morning. It's a King Builder. So this is essentially like having a convergence workout. Again, we're all going to show up for a good first F beatdown. It's going to be led by some of the cadre for the GTE event. So we're going to get a little bit of a different, fresh perspective on some leadership there. Obviously, everyone brings their own flavor to workouts anyway, even across our own AOs and different AOs in our region. But having some guys come in from out of town to lead is going to give us a little different taste of F3. Immediately following on Saturday morning, the third component is called Grow School. So this is a great learning event. So what we would do obviously is we would kind of move immediately after the King Builder, the convergence workout, into probably get some breakfast. But the Grow School is going through the 4 major components of get right, live right, lead right, and leave right. So they're gonna discuss that, and of course, again, just like with anything else, bring their expertise, and this is something that these guys talk about on a consistent basis. So really allow us to learn and maybe again, just be exposed to some high impact men from other regions and learn from them. And the fourth event, which is the last major thing, and it's the longest one by far, is the Ruck event. So typically these are, they start on Saturday evening. They're 12, sometimes up to 15-hour events where you're going to combine all of your all 3F components. So definitely going to have fitness. You're definitely going to have fellowship, definitely going to have faith all involved there. So again, if you've ever been involved in any kind of, like Steve mentioned before, Go Ruck event, it's definitely modeled after the Go Ruck Tough or the Go Ruck Challenge. So their original event, but it's going to involve definitely it's peer led. We're given tasks and goals, and everyone kind of takes turns, not depending on the size, and not everyone will get to take a leadership position, but a lot of men are going to be tasked and put into leadership roles. So you really do get to utilize what you've learned in Grow School and what you already know as a high impact man, and get to really push yourselves alongside a lot of great dudes. And again, we're going to have a solid number from our region, and we're going to have some guys I know from out of town that are going to come in for it. So big 4 components. I know in the past, if there's like a certain part of the event due to your scheduling you can't make, you don't have to make all of them. It's definitely ideal if you can plan ahead and be available to be able to participate in all 4 major components, but it's not by no means a requirement to if you miss one, you can't come back and come back to another one and join right back up. But the four major components in that weekend for the GTE are it's a great combination of learning and really pushing ourselves in a lot of different aspects.
Thank you, brother. All right, Skeletor, tell us where we're at with that.
Yeah, good stuff. So thanks, man. So where we are now, we're down the road with this thing. We've had, excuse me, we've had a couple meetings with the Grow Ruck SLT and the SLT coming out of Knoxville. We're a little bit ahead of the curve. They were quite impressed with the way that the whole Cardinal situation went down and how F3 Knoxville responded to that. So they're very confident in us that Knoxville is a place that can support a Grow Ruck. We haven't necessarily picked a date for this, but we have picked a time frame. So we're looking at spring or summer 2024. What we need to close that gap and get some dates in there and get some more things firmed up are some things like leadership positions. We need to nail down those leadership positions. There's a whole host of leadership positions that could be decided on soon. I took a step just a few minutes ago and I filled out the Google Doc again, and I volunteered for a couple more things that I didn't think that I would be able to do a couple months ago. I think maybe I could reach out and do a little bit more. So I encourage each of you men on here and anybody watching this recording that's the next step, is to make sure that you volunteered for everything that you're willing to do and you think you're able to do. First big decision that's coming up is our host queue. Once we make that decision, then we can get down the road with filling out the rest of that team, because we want to build a team around that host queue. So the host queue and the SLT, that'll be built out from just simply the list of volunteers that get in there in that Google Doc and fill that stuff out. So like I said, the team is very confident that we're going to be able to do this. We're about 98% there. All we really need to do is get that host queue, get a date selected, and we need some commitment. It's not a firm commitment now, but we need some mental commitment from you guys. They don't like to really kick these things off with less than about 60 guys. There's about 40 guys in the Knoxville Grow Ruck channel. We need to probably grow that by double to get to where we need to be to lose that 10-15% on the day of. So if you're willing, if you're interested, get in there in that channel, get in there and fill out that Google Doc, so we know who's looking to lead, who's willing to lead. If you know others in other regions, reach out to them. That can help us get a more firm feeling on where we are with this as well. So reach out to somebody in Knoxville, reach out to Tri-Cities or Nashville. That can really get us where we need to be with making this decision. So we're close. I think by the next time we meet, we'll have this decision on host queue and we'll have a date so we can make a more firm commitment to them, and then they'll commit to us.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Hey, what channel was that you're talking about? Is that in Slack?
Yeah, I just posted in the
yeah.
Knoxville, Maine, a link
Okay.
to the Knoxville GTE 2024.
Does there need to be a host location? Like, give me an idea of the 12, 15 hour, like, would it be all over South Knoxville or what?
Yeah, Abort, you want to jump in there and take that just on your past experiences or Steam?
As far as location goes? Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not been settled for, I mean, totally. I know World's Fair Park is one of the locations that has been discussed simply because of proximity to greenways. There's definitely a lot of, you know, in the past as well, you know, we've utilized a lot of the things around downtown Knoxville for Go Ruck events. So there's access to water, again, greenway trails to get back and forth. So things like that. That's one of the locations. I think Asylum has also been looked at as well for a start point. So yeah, I mean, that hasn't totally been nailed down, but you know, in our meetings with the SLT, those are the two primary, and I think kind of at one point maybe IAMS was also brought up, if I recall correctly. But yeah, that'll be something that will have to be nailed down. Does that kind of answer your question, Booster?
I saw another question Madoff asked, is it only open to F3 men or open to anybody?
Yeah, I was trying to type out something about that. And Abort probably has had more experience with this than me, but I think Abort did a great job nailing it on the head, where we can have guys that will come to just the Saturday workout, like just the convergence or just the growth school, may not necessarily be down for the ruck events that night. Totally cool. What I would say is with caution, because there's a cost to this as well, but it's probably not the easiest on ramp for like a first time FNG just wanting to come out and try rucking or stuff like that. Like there's a lot of training that goes into that. So I don't know if Abort Skeletor y'all would agree, but it's not like bringing an FNG to the first time workout like we would experience on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I would completely agree. We've been taking advantage of our rucks at Rampart and trying to get with other guys in Knoxville to build that base level of training up. I spent a couple hours today under a 50-pound rucksack while my son was walking around the golf course, and I'm telling you, I'm hurting. Like it takes some time to really build your body up to where you can carry that load consistently. We're going to be under load for 12 to 15 hours. So yeah, not a great idea for an FNG, but if you can get those guys 6 months early, maybe so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a challenge event. It's not an introduction event. It's more of a challenge. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm gonna read the website too. I just thank you for talking through that. I appreciate it.
Doesn't GoRuck have a documentary on one of these?
There's a really good, if you'll go on YouTube, it's quite old. I think it's probably 10, 15 Grow Ruck events old, but it's about a 45-minute video that takes you through. Obviously they keep the Q school and they keep those other pre-ruck things kind of private, but that 12 to 15 hours, it gives you a good idea about what kind of burden you're going to be under for that amount of time. It's on YouTube. If you just YouTube Grow Ruck, you'll learn a lot through the video.
I put the link to that in the chat too.
Perfect.
All right, so let me talk a little bit about where do we go from here. We got this really amazing event that we're hoping will come to Knoxville. And last time we talked to the cadre, one of the questions we asked was, well, when do you guys actually commit to us? When do we know yes or no? Because we're going to spend a lot of energy planning this, promoting this. And they said, well, you guys are going to get it, right? Like they say, we feel very confident that it's going to come to Knoxville next spring, early summer. So we feel really good about this event coming. So where do we go from here? Skeletor talked about, we've got about 40 guys who've expressed interest in the form of joining up this channel that we're going to chatter about this event. And there's about 40 guys in there, and we want to build that up, but we also want to build up our bodies to be able to prepare to endure this big challenge that's coming. But I see this GTE event as a catalyst to promote, the culture of rucking, which I think is really cool. Steve talked about the benefits. There's a lot of fitness benefits to rucking. There's a lot of also fellowship benefits to rucking. I see it as just a really cool culture that I would like to see grow and build within F3 and within Knoxville. I see GTE as a catalyst, but not a capstone. And by that, I mean, I don't think that's the end. I think that's just something that's getting us invigorated around rucking. And once the GTE is come and gone, we're still going to be really interested in rucking. And maybe there's something even beyond that that's even bigger and better. But let me talk a little bit about how do we do that? How do we grow? One thing is just generating interest and recruiting people into the culture of rucking. A couple of things, those of you guys who are on here who are into rucking now can help with. One is removing obstacles to entry. And by that, I mean, one big obstacle, maybe the biggest that I can think of, is just equipment. If you want to try rucking, well, it's a pretty big investment to go buy a rucker and the plate that goes in it. You're $400 into it before you've even tried it on. But if we've got equipment that we can loan out, I mean, that's super helpful. Just loan it to a guy for a ruck, or have him come with you, loan him one. Betty, you're great at that. I see every time you post, you say, I'm going to drag my extra out. Somebody show up who needs to borrow one. If we've got access to secondhand equipment, you've got stuff that you're willing to part with and just sell at a discount, that'd be great. I'd love for somebody to spec out a quality kit for the lowest possible price. It doesn't have to be a GoRuck bag. It doesn't have to be the special plate that fits in it. But if we could spec out something that's a pretty quality kit that you can get for, X, $100. If you got $100 and you want to get into rucking, you can get a pretty decent kit for this. To have somebody spec that out, I think those kinds of things might help remove that obstacle of equipment. A couple other things I think we can be doing is recruiting from our wounded list. That's actually how I got into rucking. And I had broken my arm and my hand. I broken my left arm and my right hand in a bike accident. So I couldn't do the F3 workouts for about 2.5 months. So I bought a ruck, and I just walked around JUCO, and I would come back for the COT at the end, but I would just walk around with my ruck on. That's great, man, because there's a lot of other people who are on the wounded list that can't come to do a boot camp with us, but they could throw a ruck on and walk around. I think we can recruit from men who aren't ready for an F3 boot camp. A lot of times I hear from guys who say, man, I can't do 100 push-ups. I can't do 25 pull-ups. And I know that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing in a boot camp. When you say, well, can you walk? Because if you walk, you can ruck with us. You can ruck with no weight until you're ready to put some weight on. The wonderful thing is it's a scalable exercise. It will exhaust any man, no matter his fitness level. You can walk with no weight. If you're a beast like Betty, you could throw 80 pounds in a bag and walk next to that guy who's got nothing on, and you guys are both going to wear yourself out, right? So we could be recruiting from the men who cannot yet get into a boot camp with us or don't feel that they're ready. We can, of course, just increase the chatter on Slack and social media. But in addition to that, if you guys, the ruck community, want to have any kind of announcements about rucking related things that you want me to put in the newsletter, I'm happy to do that. The newsletter gets read by about 400 people every week. So if we want to get, an announcement out there about a bigger OTB that's coming up or something, give it to me to put in the newsletter. Get it to me by Saturday night. I'll put it in there for Sunday morning. Also creating more opportunities. So that's a lot of recruiting, generating interest in recruiting. What about creating more opportunities? What could that look like? One is just wearing a ruck during the boot camps. If you don't want to do another ruck event, OTB, whatever, but you can throw on a ruck, even a lightweight during a boot camp workout. I did it twice last week. And I'll tell you what, man, it amplifies the workout. And we did a couple where normally I would have been, in the top 2 or 3. I finished dead last. And it was humbling, but it felt great. I was spent after that workout. So it really amplifies what you're doing. We could create or reestablish one of our ruck AOs if we wanted to do that. Here's a model that JUCO uses that I think would actually lend itself really well to a ruck. And that is on Wednesdays, JUCO boot camp leaves and JUCO rush leaves. And the rush is a run only workout. Rush leaves at 5 o'clock, boot camp leaves at 5:30. They come back together at 6:15 for the COT and the bomb. It'd be super easy to do that with the ruck workout too. You might launch at the same time as the boot camp and come back together at 6:15. But it's a different AO. It's a ruck focused AO. Lots of OTBs. And Betty, again, I see you doing those every Tuesday, Thursday at Shamrock. And I know a lot of other guys are doing it. I think Rampart does regular OTBs and others. And I don't know if we could somehow collect that or if that's chattered about enough on the Ruck channel. Oh, we do have a Ruck AO. No pick, no proof. There could be even second F opportunities to do Ruck events. I see this sometimes in Knoxville Ruck. What's the Facebook group?
Knox Ruckers.
Knox Ruckers. And they'll do things on Friday nights where they'll go off and ruck from bar to bar and get drinks, or they'll do something and it's a second F under a ruck. And that's pretty cool. A lot of opportunities. Now, another thing, you just talk about building up your body and building up interest. Betty, I saw that you posted something several weeks ago now about kind of a standardized ruck workout, ruck routine that you do. And it was like, depending on your level of fitness, this much weight, and I think it's you walk a mile, carry a bigger weight for 100 yards and do something else. But there was a standard thing that you do. And it's like the metric ones that we've been doing these last couple of months. I think if we were to do that and you could track your progress, I think there's a lot of guys like myself that would say that would inspire me to want to do it more. Like if I was chasing a goal, I would be doing it more. And I could get myself a baseline and then establish a goal for myself. I'm going to do it in this time. And now I'm out there doing it more and more. So maybe we would want to do that with some kind of regularity, that metric or something like that. I know there's the monthly challenges that come out, the patches that come out, and maybe doing more promotion of that. All right. Oh, and there's one other thing that's related. This you'll hear more about in a couple of weeks. But the F3 idea is called shield locks. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically getting together with 3 to 5 other men and living life in the deepest level of relationship with them. Really getting down to the hard issues on some things. We've got some shield locks going on in different areas. But one thing that I think lends itself really well to shield locks is rucking, because you can walk in a pack of 3 or 5 and talk at the same time. So you're getting a great workout. And men just kind of connect around doing something together more so than I think sitting and drinking a cup of coffee together. I mean, I can do that. I would rather be out, pulling something, pushing something, sweating alongside a man. And I think I can open my heart more easily to that man. So shield locks is something I think that would be a really good partnership. Let me jam through one more thing really quickly, and I know we're actually already over time, but Skeletor already touched on this. One of the greatest needs that we'll have, this is getting back to the GTE itself. We're a year out. They're talking about potentially, I mean, the strongest focus is on April next year. So we're, let's say 13 months out. But already right now, what we need to do is start to establish the leadership team for that event. And there's really 2 roles that are critical, and then about 6 roles that are optional, depending on how we wanted to run the event. But Skeletor already talked about it. The most critical role is the leader, the man who's going to, cast his vision and lead this event. Don't let me scare you off. It is run by F3 Nation. The Grow Ruck cadre comes in. They do the Grow Ruck school. They teach everything. They plan and run the 12-hour ruck. They do all of that stuff, but they need somebody here who's going to help them coordinate with the local, the parks department or the whatever else they need. They need that guy to be their eyes and ears here. So we need a leader, a regional leader for the GTE event that will communicate directly with them and plan this whole thing out. We call that the host queue. What we'd like to know is who in our population is interested in that role. There's another role. It's called the support, regional support queue. And that man's running a lot of logistics. It's important to establish that early enough that you can start doing some of the logistical things, but it's really the day of or the couple of days before. You're the guy who's making sure there's enough water on the course for us. You're the guy who's making sure there's a medic, and but that's a critical role for that person to be doing all that logistical support. There's other roles that aren't as critical, maybe even optional, depending on how we run it. A ruck queue, this is the person who's just kind of promoting, again, the idea of rucking. A rally queue, somebody could specialize on that Friday night second F party atmosphere kind of thing that we would be doing. A grow school queue, somebody who would specifically focus on that Saturday morning. Goodness, sorry, I keep coughing. Keep focused on that Saturday morning grow ruck school. A media queue, a collaboration queue, a fundraising queue. Those are all things that we
Hold on, buddy.
might establish. Now, something that I think makes a whole lot of sense, and the Knoxville F3 leadership team has said, we don't want to pick this whole team. I don't think that makes any sense. We'd like to pick the host queue, the leader, the host queue, and then let him pick the rest of his team. Who's going to be my guy doing this and my guy doing this, my guy doing this. Let him build his own team if he's going to be working with them for the next year. Skeletor talked about there's a Slack channel, and somebody posted it in the chat already. There's a Slack channel about this, planning this event. There's a survey pinned in that channel that is specifically about these leadership roles. If you're interested in one of these roles, or one or more, take the survey, and so we can at least know who's interested in what. Again, the most critical position is who among you is interested in being this host queue, this leader. We got to pick that guy pretty soon, to give him as much time as possible to kind of spec out, plan all of this stuff, dream. I want to give him a full year to think about this, and it really won't start to accelerate until a month or 2 or 3 before the actual event. We've got 9 months of planning and thinking, and about every month or 2 meeting with the Grow Ruck cadre for an hour maybe, and then it accelerates when it gets closer to the event. So So yeah, let me just end it right there and just say I'm excited. I think this event will be something that defines Knoxville F3 for the year of 2024 and even beyond. I think it's going to be something that people will remember for the rest of their lives. I've talked to multiple people who have done GTEs, and I've heard the same phrase about it many, many times. And that is people say it was life changing. It was life changing for me. And so to be able to host something like that, I think is very exciting for us. Very cool. So I'm excited about the event coming. I'm excited about building up the Knoxville ruck culture. I'm really excited to see who among you guys will rise up into these leadership positions and just take this thing and make it amazing. I think it will be something when you get into it, you would be proud of for the rest of your life, to be part of developing and leading this big event. I'm gonna stop there. We're already a few minutes over, but I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions you guys might have.
I have one kickflip and or abort or Skeletor, guys. I may know about this. For some of the leadership positions that we need, are these guys that can still be a part of the ruck events that night, or are these going to be more behind the scenes, shadows, things like that will follow the participants through that 12-hour Saturday night?
That's a great question, dude. My understanding, I'll just give you my understanding and let Jeremy abort, correct me if I'm wrong, is that most of those guys can be participants. And the exception might be the regional support Q. One of his roles is to determine who could be a medic on the team. And I think that's really kind of a standalone position. And there's a couple of guys that you would want to make them support pairs or something like that, where you've got these kind of runners who will go around and make a cache of water over here and do something over there. And those guys are really working independent of the event because they're busy doing stuff, right? It's logistical things. Those are a few guys that wouldn't be able to participate in the whole thing. But I think generally most of those leadership positions you would. That sound right aboard?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know the one that we did 05 that the Steam had mentioned in Chattanooga. I know a lot of the leadership positions did participate, but yeah, you're exactly right. We will need people that will be able to coordinate with cadre to make sure that coupons are where they need to be. If there's going to be drop points for those items to pick up or drop off along the way, like you mentioned before, ensuring that that hydration gets completed and that we've got everything we need in that aspect. So yeah, there will be some, whether it's that support queue or whether he can identify some folks who want to help but maybe can't commit the whole night, whatever it may be, as long as that is taken care of logistically, that those leadership positions can absolutely participate.
Awesome. Good. Other sorry, other questions? Nobody? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to figure out how to post this video. I'll just send it to Steam and ask him to do it. So if you know guys who are interested in this, I mean, totally feel free to give them a link to this video so they can hear all this firsthand. And we'll just start to talk more and more and more about it. And so you'll start to see more emphasis putting on rucking, more of us looking for opportunities to do. And then you'll start to see over the next 12 months, a crescendo of interest in this event that's coming up. And look for it, like I said, tentatively, but probably April of 2024. Sound good? All right. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Hey, Kickflip.
Yeah.
Just other topic. I just saw in the Nation Slack Bing asking an update, and I thought he tagged the two of us in it.